So if you're traveling on the north coast of California, you're going to see the redwood forest and really a majestic coastline. This little town, Ferndale, California, I've lived here in the area for a little over 24 years now. This is a good place to stay. It's a lot better than Eureka. Eureka's a little rough. Fortuna's not too bad. There's some hotels there that are nice. But for a more relaxed stay and a more interesting place, Ferndale can't be beat. So the large Humboldt Redwood State Park is about 20 minutes south of here. Redwood National State Parks is probably maybe an hour and 20 minutes, give or take, to the north. And then the King Range National Conservation Area, which is Bureau of Land Management, it's a federal wilderness. That's about maybe 45 minutes to the south. So there's a lot of things to see and do in this general area. And this is a great place to stay during all of that. So I'm going to show you a little bit of the town and where you can stay, some of the restaurants, and let's get started. This town's been in several movies, and I'll show you some of the sites. Those include Salem's Lot, The Majestic with Jim Carrey, and probably the biggest blockbuster was Outbreak with Morgan Freeman and Dustin Hoffman, Rene Russo, Donald Sutherland. So back in the mid-1800s, the main industry was the creameries. It's still pretty big here, dairy farming, but back in the 1800s, when they were shipping a lot of the cream down to San Francisco, a lot of people got super wealthy, and they built these, some of them are called buttermilk palaces, and just the architect here is just really, really neat. This is our town library. So we're going to cross the street, and I'm going to show you one of the bed and breakfasts here. There's several. But the Shaw House, I believe it's the oldest structure in town. Seth Shaw, I believe, was one of the early settlers to this community. And because it was out in a remote, wild region, to make his wife feel more at home, he built this like Gothic-style home that you would have seen in the cities, wealthy communities back in the 1800s. And I've been in it a few times, and it really is an amazing house inside. For 5 years I had to move away and live in Los Angeles, so me and my wife would come up and visit and check on my home, and we'd stay in some of the different hotels and inns while we were here. So if you get a chance, this is definitely worth staying in. This is such a neat place. Like I said, it's, I believe, the oldest structure here in town. Absolutely gorgeous inside. And you can sit out on the back patio and hear Francis Creek in the back. It's a coho salmon stream. They also have steelhead. And you'll see deer wandering through the yard. Again, that's the historic Shaw House. Look at this tree. Just really neat. So the next place we're going to walk into is a brand new town park, which is right next to the Shaw House, and just a really neat little town. It's native flowers. They put up the dollhouse, and I'll show you around. But I just saw for the first time yesterday they finally opened it up.
Member now, and I was like, what could be in those stories?
I think they opened the toilet gas to make it cool again. It's a white. Yes. There's Mommy.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think I found it.
No, not with she.
This next weekend we're gonna be out at the lake, baby.
So there's the solar flower that I just showed you that powers the electric here, the water fountain, the lights, and then the maintenance shed. They're doing this project where they're showing how you can grow native plants on your roof, and just really neat thing they did here. So they built this dollhouse many years ago. It used to be pink. They've repainted it. I don't know if you can really see inside. They even got a little cuckoo clock in there. And they got the three bears. The mama bear and the baby bear are inside. And the papa bear lives up there. Neat little park. My understanding, I could be wrong, was the individual that owned this and put the money for this, he's passed away, but he was related to the Anheuser-Busch family, I believe. He had a lot of money, and it was important that he create this park in town, so they just finished it it just opened up yesterday. So if you're looking for a good place to get ice cream, the Cat Shack, it's not open right now. It's open on most days, especially on weekends. Good ice cream, good prices. We even have a telephone booth here in town. This is Ferndale Pizza Company. Great place for pizza and pasta. It's closed only one day a week, and that is on Monday. So today's Monday. But definitely great pizza here. It's a local favorite. This is the Red Front store, and they have a little inn here. It's actually really nice. Me and my wife have stayed there when we were visiting my home when we lived in Los Angeles. There was 4 bedrooms, and on busy weekends or holiday weekends it's probably gonna be packed, but it's definitely a nice little place to stay. You're right here in the middle of town. And again, that's at the Red Front store, and that's the Francis Creek Inn. And it's named after Francis Creek, which is right here. This is a salmon and steelhead stream that runs through the back of town. It looks a little low right now, but in the wintertime it flows pretty good. And like I said, they have found, doing fish surveys, they found coho salmon and steelhead. Both are listed as endangered under the Endangered Species Act here in Northern California. This is Valley Lumber, and if you go in there and you walk in the back and you can ask one of the workers to demonstrate it, there's some old mill equipment in this section of the building, and it still operates. They can turn the switch on, and it's got conveyor belts that are running up top on the ceiling with all kinds of spinning wheels, and it's really kind of neat to see, you know, how things would have run, you know, back in the probably 1920s. So there's the Red Front store. If you want to stay at Francis Creek Inn that I showed you earlier, you go to the store and you can do the paperwork there at the front entrance. They had an art gallery here, but they're in the process of moving it. Nice little coffee shop with bagels. If you like chocolates and candy, right here. Really good chocolates here. Tuyas is a great Mexican restaurant, very good food. The Cantina's kind of like a bar, sports bar type place that's next door, run by the same people. Very nice. This is our post office. It's a federal holiday today. It's Juneteenth, the new federal holiday. But this is just really cool. Again, the local post office in Ferndale. People that live here in city limits have P.O. boxes. So just, this is it. Very neat. The town restroom, in case you need to use it. Some of the stores don't have public restrooms. In the near future, the art gallery's being relocated to this building right here, beside Toys. Good place to get computers worked on, right here. We have the local gas station, and we have a mechanic here, Tipple Motors. The gas is pretty expensive though, so you know, keep that in mind. You want to fill up in Fortune if possible. Abraxas, a nice jewelry store, hats, some clothing. More of these beautiful homes. And the one that we're coming up to is another bed and breakfast, and it's called the Gingerbread Mansion. And I've been in there several times also, and just spectacular. It's just, you know, totally Victorian. They've fixed it up very nice inside, has nice gardens. Again, I'm not sure on the price. You know, the nicer bed and breakfasts are going to be more expensive, but it's definitely worth seeing this one. And at Christmas, it's always lit up very nicely. I believe it may have been like a hospital at one time, and the inside is just spectacular. I'll zoom in on the sign so you can get the phone number. Again, the Gingerbread Mansion. Some of these homes, the flowers and the gardening they do just looks really nice. This is our fire hall where the fire department is, and they just, fairly recently, they just put up a new one for additional fire trucks. So the art gallery is currently located here until they do their official moving.
Hello?
Hello.
Well, you can come in, just don't take pictures of it. It was a lot of work by a few people, but it went up in, it closed on the 15th of March and opened first week in April.
Well, I look forward to seeing your new place.
I look forward to seeing it too. We're working hard here to get it ready. Are you from Ferndale?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So the new art gallery will be moving in the near future, and this place I'm going to walk around the corner here is Cootery. I'm not pronouncing it right, but it's called the Boardroom, and it looks really interesting. I haven't eaten here yet. So the blacksmith shop has two sections. This one you can walk in and it kind of showcases some of the nicer pieces that they have. This is one of my favorites here. And this one's $5,950, so I can't afford it, but I do like it. You can see the salmon and the bears trying to get it. I like these old wood stoves. Very cool.
From financial record keeping, health legal heritage, or even getting health insurance.
Some of the blacksmith work here is just amazing. It's really nice they're restoring this building. I'm not sure what will go in here. So this one, it's interesting, the pointed peak there was only in the past couple of years put up, so it had just been flat. And originally it was there, so somebody built it. They came in with like a crane and fixed that up. That's been really nicely restored. We have the Main Street Barkery in Bath, and if you've got pets, a cat or dog, and it needs to be trimmed or cleaned or bathed, and as well as dog biscuits, that's a good place to go. Now, talking about architect, look at this. Just amazing, the detail here. The gazebo is Chapman's Bookstore, and this was built in 1898. It's called an East Lake stick style tradition. Victorian architect. So it's this tells you the whole history of the building. It's on the National Register of Historic Places. Just beautiful details, and they're closed today for the Juneteenth holiday, but this is a very good bookstore. I come here often. Again, Chapman's Bookstore. Here's the blacksmith shop, the main store. here at the Ferndale Repertoire Theater. And we got a neat little gift shop here next to it. They have really good plays here for such a small town, and it's really neat theater. It's old, from the late 1800s. Shoe store here. This one sells kitchen furniture type stuff. Very neat, interesting clothing and gifts in this one. And again, this one's called Lion. And this one is the Mercantile, the Golden Gate Mercantile. This is a definite must if you come into town. This is like a early 20th century general store. A lot of good kitchen supplies here. My wife comes in and we get things that are hard to find here on the North Coast. They have a little like museum type area that's up top that's worth seeing. You walk up the stairs, but this is how a Mercantile back in the late 1800s, early 1900s would have looked like. There were a lot of, for a while there, Chinese working in the gold mine, so they, medicinal stores.
There's no more, I think my kids, when they're growing up, it's
Some neat
like, not a whole lot of
old-fashioned toys that can be found here. If you're looking for a sweatshirt or hats for Ferndale. They have a whole room on Christmas ornaments. Store. Again, that's the Golden Gate Mercantile. Definitely worth seeing. Papa Joe's, good place for breakfast. You'll see cowboys playing cards in the back. So the Mind's Eye Coffee is a good place, great place for danishes, coffee. If you look in the back, they built some kayaks that are kind of like they build up in Alaska. It's a neat, very neat place. You can sit down, read a book on a cold day. They got a gas heater there. And sometimes the local cats will walk in and hang out with you. Now, until recently, this was actually a bank. And it's now they sell, it's like a gift store. And Guy Ferrari, or Ferry, sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name, bought this building, and this is definitely worth seeing. Again, the movies here, Outbreak, Salem's Lot, The Majestic. So Guy is a local here from Ferndale, and he does a lot for the community. So it's nice that he acquired this bank, and it's being used as just a really cool gift store. Oh wow, that's a new picture. That's nice, I like that. This is cool, the old vault door. Safe deposit boxes. Like I said, until fairly recently, this was, past 2 years, this was a regular bank. This is the Ferndale Meat Market. Great place to get meats, local meats. The Pal Saloon if you want to get a drink at one of the local bars. It's my pharmacy, and it's really neat. It's like something you'd see in the old Five and Dimes. My understanding, this is the oldest continuous pharmacy in California. So again, Rexall Rings Drugs in Ferndale, definitely worth seeing. We've got Farmer's Market, Farmer's Daughter, I mean. This is a neat gift store, locally owned. Early Girls clothing store. Now this one has some really amazing things. The Ferndale Emporium, they might have an online section too. Wait till you see the inside, the paintings up on the ceiling.
Yes, they are.
They're crows.
All right, well, listen, you guys want to do this, huh?
I suppose.
They buying the store?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything in it.
You're gonna put this guy right on the back of your motorcycle?
No, it'll be coming over the car.
You'll take it off, make it look right down
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that part. It's only a question out.
All right, well, let's go watering plants.
So is that the one you have?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. If you want to get it ready, then we'll come back and do it and get it picked up in a while. We're going to do some more shopping around town. So.
This is our grocery store, Valley Grocery. It's open 7 days a week. The liquor store. If you're looking for homes here in the Ferndale area, Landmark Real Estate, They've been here a very long time, very knowledgeable. This really beautiful restaurant and inn and bar has been shut down sadly for a while, and I don't know when it'll open again. One of the owners passed away, and just a beloved person in the community, and just excellent food. They have live bands, like real cowboy bands, real ranchers with accordions and fiddles, banjos that would come and play, and it was just also a very lively place. It's called the Ivanhoe, and so fingers crossed that they open it up again, because it really is missed in this community. And if it does open, definitely it's worth seeing, and they've got a nice lobby that's nice at Christmas time with a tree and train set. So this is the Victorian Inn, the VI. This is very good food. They got a nice old-fashioned bar, and then the inn up top I hear is very nice. If you saw the movie Outbreak, so this is where they put a facade around that, and that was like the hospital in the movie. And they landed the helicopters right here. They had taken the wires out, and so you see the helicopters landing, and Dustin Hoffman runs into the helicopter. I think it was the Hughes, the round one, and takes off. This all occurred right in here, is where they landed the helicopters. This is the famous gumball trees. Now this tree, sometimes, I don't see them now, but you'll get dozens of black-crowned night herons that'll be roosting there. Just really neat how they shape these. I believe these are cypress trees, maybe. The Birding House, another famous home, built in 1875. Again, on the National Register of Historic Places. Just so many homes here. The old steeple. This was a church that's been converted into like a music hall, and the acoustics in there are really incredible, and they do live performances there. And at the top of the steeple, they had some barn owls that were nesting. Unfortunately, some of them died of rat poisoning, I believe. Not deliberately. It was somebody probably trying to get rid of mice and rodents, and maybe the owls ate one of them. Okay, so we're here at Birding Street. So that's where the gingerbread house is, down here on Birding, and then you got the Church of the Assumption. And finally, we're going to go over here to the Ferndale Cemetery, which is very unique. And on Ocean Boulevard, past the steeple, so you take a left at the Victorian Inn. If you want to get to Russ Park, you go about a quarter mile down the road to get to Russ Park. And that's also in the video. We're here in June 19th. So the weather can be either sunny and 65 to 70 degrees, and within minutes it can go down to 50 degrees with fog. So we're near the coast. So if you're coming to visit here, just be prepared that the temperatures can drop pretty quickly. This is a really fascinating cemetery. I know it creeps some people out, but it's a historic cemetery. Some of the people from the shipwrecked Northerner are buried here, and they do tours occasionally where they talk about some of the more famous or infamous people that have been buried here. There's some outlaws from the 1800s that robbed stagecoach stations, and of course the Shaws. They're the early settlers that came here in the Shaw house we saw. And the view from up top, I'm not going to go up there right now, but you can see the ocean on a day like today, definitely. And then behind this hill, this small mountain, would be where Russ Park is. But you can walk all the way up to the top, and just really nice views of the city. As you can see, you got some really old tombstones here. And like I said, from the very top, way up there, you'll be a little bit out of breath when you walk all the way up there, but it's the scenery is really, really nice. You'd see all the way to the ocean, and you see looking down on town. If you're into history and you like, you know, these kind of, like I said, the cemetery is very different. It's sort of out of the ground. It's definitely worth seeing and walking around. The rhododendrons are kind of a little bit past their peak. You know, a couple months ago it would have been, well, maybe a month ago it would have been definitely more colorful here. Well, I hoped you liked this tour of Ferndale, locals' perspective. Where to eat, where to stay. The pandemic was hard on this community. I mean, you know, restaurants struggled. A lot of them, it was indoor dining was shut down for almost a year, I think. And even now, with the high cost of gasoline, especially up here, it's going for $6.89, I think, in some places. It's these are tough times for restaurants, for the gift shops. So we encourage all the tourists to come up because the locals need the money, and it's definitely just a quiet, peaceful place if you're looking for that. Like I said, if you're visiting the Redwood Forest, this is definitely a good jumping off point. We're 5 miles from the beach, which I also will have on this video. BLM, Bureau of Land Management, public lands along the beach. And then, like I said, we're 20 minutes or so from the Humboldt Redwood State Park and the Avenue of the Giants. And then Redwood National Park is maybe an hour and a half north. And maybe an hour north is Trinidad, which has a really amazing kind of rocky coastline that looks like the coast of Maine. You go 2 hours south, you're in Mendocino and Fort Bragg. They film a lot of movies in Mendocino and TV shows. Murder, She Wrote, the beginning was filmed there in Mendocino. That's a beautiful town also. So is Fort Bragg, has a neat fishing port down there. You can get fresh seafood. Eureka's got a nice historic old town, but Eureka's going through some problems. I tell my family and friends not to spend the night there. You know, the old town is pretty safe. Woodley Island is pretty nice where the fishing boats come in, but there's not too many nice areas to spend the night. So you're definitely much safer here. Your car's not going to get broken into, and you can wander around at nighttime, and just the people are nice here. We don't have much crime. So definitely worth seeing. Again, Ferndale, California. And you take Highway 101 north. We're about 5 hours north of San Francisco from the Golden Gate Bridge. And off 101, the exits to Fern Bridge. And you go across the historic Fern Bridge. And we're about 5 miles off 101. Being that distant away from the 101 probably saved this town from not having lots of fast food, restaurants, and street lights. And we were kind of off the beaten track. So anyway, come visit and enjoy yourself. Remember the weather too. Today is sunny, but like I said, 15 minutes from now, it could be foggy and drizzly and really cold. So have some warm weather clothes and some cold weather clothes as well. Anyway, enjoy your travels. and definitely put Ferndale on your list of places to see. I had a little extra time on my video. I just thought I'd add this. So this is Artisan Alley behind the grocery store. Now on the Ferndale Emporium, I filmed the inside, and there were some beautiful ship models. So there's a gentleman named Andy, and he builds his ship models here. And almost every restaurant, not everyone, but like the Victorian Inn, several others, have these beautiful ship models, and Andy builds them. He's also a painter and an expert on nautical history of the north coast of California. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. This is where they did a lot of the restoration on the dollhouse that's now in that new park down the street. And one more quick view of Francis Creek. It's flowing a little bit better down at this side, but like I said, in the wintertime it really flows pretty good. And it's amazing to think that salmon from the ocean, even though the ocean's not far away, it's got to go up the Salt River and then up Francis Creek. If you're visiting and you hear this siren, it scares tourists a little bit. Okay? You don't have to think about missiles coming incoming. No, this is how we notify the volunteer firemen that live in the community that they can hear this sound. They know that there's an emergency. So when 911 around here gets called for medical or fire, and you can see right there is the So when you hear that, that's what that means, is that there's a fire, a car wreck, a medical, and people in the community that are volunteers, they will race down to where I showed you earlier in the video, the fire department hall, and they're professionals, and they do a really good job, and they're volunteers, and we're just really lucky to have a good group of people that do this. It's hard to get people to do it. It's tough to be able to respond to things. Again, that's the Ferndale Meat Company, the pharmacy I took you in earlier, the Inn Ferndale Emporium, the bank that's now the gift store. So one of the local town cats, I always have to stop by and say hello. Hey, buddy. Hey girl, how are you doing today, huh? It's kind of warm outside, huh? Just be careful if they start the engine up. Move out from under there. She's been around a long time. And the people in the community. She's got a little cat house, and she gets fed. And she has lots of tourists petting her all the time. So sometimes she hides, right? Alright, I'll let you go. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye. Anyway, that's our town cat. So, enjoy your trip if you come here. They have great burgers here. This is the No Brand Burger Stand.
Have a good one.
This is the Ferndale Museum. It's got a real nice mural. It's on Shaw Street, and it's just I don't know, 100 yards or so from the Ferndale Pizza Company. This is definitely a place you want to stop and visit. It's got some really neat displays, and we're going to stop in here and take a look. There's a famous mountain man, Seth Kinman, that lived in this area.
My sister did this job in college. So when a call comes, the operator answers, and then you tell them who you want, and then they plug it in. And when I grew up, we called it a party line. That means other people had the same. We shared the phone with people we didn't know, so you pick up and you can't use the phone, and you can't accept a call if the other person is really strange, so that's what we did. Here's one because I was reading. The reason why Thomas is missing that too is because I can't remember his business.
This old picture of town, you can still see some of the old growth redwoods that were still around back then.
Where did you read that?
Artifacts from our lodges there, some of the lodge ribbons and stuff. They were really important here in Ferndale. We had 29 lodges in Ferndale with Portuguese and Danish and Masons and Woodmen of the World. And they were basically like a social safety net almost, because they supported their members when there weren't any government support systems in place, and insurance didn't really cover it. So they support widows and orphans, and then
Yeah.
Before that was anything.
yeah, and then all kinds of old artifacts from local businesses. And
Yeah, I was just noticing this red front store, we just walked past that place.
Yeah.
It's still there.
it's the same business, different location. It used to be a little further up the street. It's right around the corner over there. You can use it. Go ahead.
You know, he's gonna go. Hold
Right,
on.
or is this the receiver?
This is the,
You turn, pick it up. Strange concept, yeah, for this generation.
Yeah, well, it's an old car. We used to have one of those in our house.
So the local man, Andy Dorner, he's in town, and he makes these really incredible ship models.
It's an old time pendulum.
it's still being used. Yeah. We have a volunteer that comes in every day and
This is the really neat section of the museum. All these old tools for making wagon wheels, and so it's a $2 entrance fee. I usually give them $5, a little extra. These old machines are just really neat. if you're into old tools, this is definitely definitely a place that's worth seeing. They got a really nice collection here, and you know, for $2, this has some really cool displays. Look at these old saws. Back when they were cutting down the old growth redwoods, you know, you'd have two people sometimes on some of these big saws, like that one right there. One on each end. I mean, that tree there is over 1,000 years old. First oil well in California was not far from here in Petrolia. So Petrolia is about maybe 45 minutes south of here. It says 35 miles south. It's near the King Range National Conservation Area. Long history of fishing and some old decoys. You just put this right in there and put out a field of that. So again, it's a small museum, but it's got a really nice display of old equipment. So, fun place to visit for $2. So these are the three of the main movies or shows that were filmed in this area. We have Salem's Lot with David Soul back in 1979, Outbreak in 1995 with Dustin Hoffman, Rene Russo, Morgan Freeman, Donald Sutherland. This was a really good movie. And then The Majestic with Jim Carrey, Hal Holbrook, Martin Landau. So they filmed, and also a little bit of Joe Dirt was filmed here in town too. Matter of fact, we're going to walk down. I'm going to show you one of the filming scenes, locations of Outbreak that was filmed here. It's just a little bit of a walk. These little back streets have just some beautiful homes, really interesting architect from the late 1890s, early 1900s. So this church, you can see this in the movie Outbreak. And it's about a pet monkey that's got a disease, and it spreads through this little town. But there's a scene with soldiers wearing gas masks that are running out of here. So in the movie they're clearing buildings and rounding up people in the town. And these doors is where the troops come running out with their full, like I said, contamination gear. This is Centerville Beach. And really an amazing beach. It's dog friendly. Your dog can run around and play. There's we got people down here fishing. We've got ATVs. But if you're going to do off-road vehicle work, riding around, make sure you know what you're doing. Don't bring your cars down here. Understand if you get stuck, it's going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars to get your vehicle off the beach. Unless some farmer's nearby with a tractor and he's willing to help you out. So, if you don't know what you're doing, don't bring your truck down here, your four-wheel drive, unless you really are an expert at driving on sand. Be careful along the cliffs here. They are eroding and falling down. We've got some fishermen. I've been told there's surf perch here. Be careful of the waves here. Every year on the north coast of California, people die, but big sleeper waves come in, even on a day like today, and can sweep you off the beach. So be careful. Like I said, you can bring your dog down and the dog can run. It's about 5 miles that way until the Eel River mouth. And here there's areas where when high tide comes in, it looks like the tide's coming in, you can't walk around the cliff, so you got to be real careful. Back in the late 1800s or mid 1800s, the SS Northerner sunk right around this area, so they buried some of the bodies on the beach and up on the bluff. Some are buried also at the cemetery in Ferndale. About 30 people died when the steamboat hit a rock just up a ways, and it just sunk right off the coast here. And the weather, it's beautiful today. But it's not always like this, and it can change in a heartbeat. You know, in 15 minutes it can be 45 degrees and foggy and really very cold. Right now it's about 60. We've got some sun, and it looks like the fog bank is staying out, so what a nice day to be at the beach. So I'm going to take you up and show you some of the Bureau of Land Management trails just down the road here. Now this is the road that goes from Ferndale. You take a right at the Ivanhoe restaurant and you stay on that all the way, and it takes you here to the beach. And then if you keep going up, it's very narrow. I definitely don't bring trailers or motorhomes. But the BLM, Bureau of Land Management's got some hiking trails. It's called the Coast Headlands. And we're going to head up there next. It's part of the California Coastal National Monument. So this is Fleener Creek, Bureau of Land Management, the Coast Headlands. So you got private property over here. You see some scattered homes and some cows grazing on the side on the other side of the hills there. But this is a couple hundred acres right on the coast. It's got a really nice hiking trail that goes down to a remote, isolated beach. And you can bring your dog here. And this is about maybe 6 miles from Ferndale. Again, if you turn to the right when you're at the Ivanhoe, which is a restaurant and hotel, it's currently closed, but if you take a right there and just go all the way, you'll hit the beach first, and then you keep going, and this is Fleener Creek. And then if you follow that road that you see going up the hill there, it continues to Guthrie Creek, which is another Bureau of Land Management site with a hiking trail that goes down to the ocean. So let's go for a short hike, and this is just really beautiful scenery, and not many people know about it. So if you're in Ferndale, you definitely want to come out here and do a nice short hike. The kiosk sign here says, "Be aware of tides and sneaker waves." That's really important. Like I said at the other location, people get swept away in the ocean here in the North Coast and Humboldt County all the time. This is the boundary. So we're here at the parking lot, and the trail goes down to here. And then Guthrie Creek is the next location with a trail that goes down to the ocean. Stay away from the cliffs, very unstable slopes. Wildflowers are really looking great. Got some people down on the trail below. Just an amazing day today. It's about 61 degrees. And again, just keep in mind in this area, it can go from 61, 70 degrees with sun to fog and drizzle and 50 degrees instantly. But right now, it's just gorgeous. I highly recommend coming up here. And it's about maybe an hour to go all the way down to the bottom and back. No matter where you look, the views are just really beautiful, but stay on trails because this is really dangerous and breaking apart. As you can see, we got a real nice trail, and it's like this all the way down. When you hike in a place like this, really any BLM, Bureau of Land Management, it's federal public lands, but this place is no different. There's probably no cell service right here. It's, even though you're only 6 miles from Ferndale, you know, we don't have cell towers out here. And you just be careful and let people know if you're going to be out here. Because usually there's other hikers during the day, especially on weekends. But you know, you never know. Just let people know where you're going to be. And you get down there to the beach area, zoom in. Again, those sneaker waves, they kill people every year here. So it's beautiful, but you got to respect the ocean. And then a lot of the BLM is, you know, the boundaries are kind of, you got to know where they are. So if you see cows, don't go out there with the cows. It's over there, that's private property, and you gotta be respectful of that. What a gorgeous day. And if you drive another 30 miles or so from here, then you reach the King Range National Conservation Area. Now you can't get it from the road that we're on now, so you have to go back into Ferndale, and there's a big sign that says Petrolia, and you head out that way. You're going to need to look on a map for this, but the King Range is a big chunk of Bureau of Land Management, about 70,000 acres. It's a designated federal wilderness area, and it's called the Lost Coast. So you've got about 30 miles of coastline where there's no roads, so it's pure wilderness on the beach. And it's definitely an amazing place. If you like hiking trails, this is another one. Bureau of Land Management again. This place has an interesting history. So up until about the early 2000s, this was like a top secret U.S. Navy submarine listening outpost. Now the buildings have all been torn down, but up here you would have had buildings where technicians would sit there in a dark room with earphones on and there were buoys, listening posts all over the Pacific Ocean, and they could detect submarines. Every single submarine has a different sound when it's in the ocean, and so all these little buoys would the communications would come back here. This was the Centerville submarine listening outpost. So when they shut down, the Bureau of Land Management took over, and it's been turned into a really nice day use area. It's above Centerville Beach, and just a nice little prairie. Again, the wildflowers are really looking nice. You can see the ocean down there. It's a little breezy, but not too bad. It's maybe 61 degrees and sunny. Again, you're right on the coast, so it can turn to fog just like that, but today's a really nice day. And this trail connects with the one on Fleener Creek. So they're tied in. You can park at this one and hike all the way to that section too. If you come towards dusk, especially on this road, the Centerville Beach Road as I call it, you can see bobcats and occasionally elk come up here. So right here, unlock the secrets of Centerville's naval facility. So in 2009, these were the buildings that were here. They leveled. And then down at the beach, I talk about the wreck of the Northerner until it was 1860. And 108 passengers, and I believe it was about 30 of them died. Just a nice peaceful hike, and like I said, a good place to. They've got picnic tables. They got a restroom there, outhouse. Just be respectful. You know, there's signs that say private property on the other side of the parking lot, and there's cattle over there, so that's somebody's private ranch. You can't go there. But neat place. This is Russ Park. Now this is right on the edge of town. You go to where you see the Victorian Inn, and you take a left, Ocean Avenue, I believe, and you go about a quarter of a mile, and you come around a bend, and there's a parking spot, and there's that sign. There's a little parking area. This is a gem, a really nice little park. It's a couple 100 acres. It goes up to the top of the hills where you can overlook the town and see the ocean from one viewpoint. It's just really neat. It's got a few redwoods, some really old Douglas firs and Sitka spruce. Most of the land here was clear cut by 1900, and some of these trees probably were still around. The landowner wanted to make a bird preserve, and so they protected this area. So here's the map, and there's going to be, so we're parked right here, and then the cemetery is here, and it's a real nice loop. You know, there's a couple ones. There's a nice hike up here, there's a pond, and then you can come down through here, and right about here you can see the ocean. Now there has been in the past, they've had mountain lion signs here posting people to be careful of mountain lions. They are around here. Same thing with black bears. We do get bears that come through this area. Just within a few minutes ago, me and my wife just saw a bobcat on the edge of town, and I'm going to add that to the video of this video because it's just really cool. So there's wildlife here. Just be aware of your surroundings. But look at this big tree here. I mean, I'd say this has to be at least a few hundred years old. A lot of ferns. They got picnic tables here. And here's something interesting. I don't know what kind of berry this is, but is it berries or just a flowering, kind of like little berries here. It's pretty cool. I come here quite a bit. It's very damp and moist, as you can see from the moss growing. You know, this area is just very similar to the Pacific Northwest. And we got here, we've got a real life banana slug. Pretty cool. Just such a neat area. Look at these ferns. So this is what you're seeing now is how Ferndale would have looked for, you know, the early settlers. That's why they called it Ferndale. Just giant ferns, redwood forest, Doug firs, like I said, Sitka spruce, alders along the rivers and streams. If you do the main loop, you're talking about an hour you can spend here. If you're going to spend some time and you're in decent shape and you like hiking, I definitely recommend this. I have friends that do really long-term hikes, you know, like the Pacific Crest Trail, and I say, check out our little trail here in town. And you know what, they come back and say, wow, that's really impressive. It's a neat little park you have here in town. Again, this is Russ Park. We have volunteers in town, and they do a really neat job of coming out here and clearing the trail out. In the wintertime, you know, the vegetation grows so rapidly out here. There's definitely an elevation gain here, but it's not bad. Just take your time. So the last place I'm going to film today in my local tour of Ferndale, California, is the Humboldt County Fairgrounds. And so we've got a campsite for trailers and RVs. So if you got a motorhome or a trailer, this is a very nice, just very quiet, peaceful place to camp. I don't know what the prices are, but you know, it's a safe place to stay. And it's this is 4th of July weekend, so there's still quite a few openings there. During the fair, of course, it'll be packed. That's the office there, I think, where you either there or over there you see about the cost of staying here. Now this is a replica of the lighthouse, Cape Mendocino Lighthouse. There used to be the original flannel lens, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but the Coast Guard came in and took it away, saying it wasn't earthquake proof here. But it was interesting when it was there. I mean, beautiful lens. They got a new pastry place here we're gonna have to check out. So the Humboldt County Fair is the second week of August, I believe. And they have horse racing here. And see if I can take you over to the grandstands. And if you're passing down Market Street in Arlinda Corners, stop by the R&S Livestock Supply Company. Say hello to Randy, Charlene, Bryce, Sadie. Nice family. But it's feed store was built in the mid-1800s. It was relocated here, I think, in the early 1900s. But it's neat. You can buy some beer. You can get a cup of coffee, gardening supplies, feed, pet food, a little bit of everything. So, but it's a neat store to walk around and check it out.